What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. It is a Monday. Happy Monday to all of you. Unfortunately, not a victory Monday. It is a very somber Monday. Might be the most somber Monday in Kansas City in quite some time, but that's okay. Hey, we're here to talk things through. For some of you, this is a therapeutic session. For some of you guys, this is just something fun to get away from the real world. Regardless, I appreciate you guys making time to join us here on tonight's episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. It is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Going to be interesting to get into as well. So I appreciate you guys taking some time to join me here. We do have some breaking news that broke about an hour ago regarding one Kansas City Chief and his future for this season. Also, Andy Reid spoke today, and he had some interesting comments, and we'll dive into some of the reactions that I've been seeing on the Kansas City Chiefs today. If you guys are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, appreciate all of you guys joining live. Just want to let you guys know this is going to be live streamed basically everywhere, and then afterwards it will be archived on all those websites except for IG, and then it'll also be on Apple and Spotify. So check that out afterwards in case you miss any part of the live portion. And for those watching later, if you don't see the live button, that means we're not live. I say that because some people comment after, like during the archive part of the podcast on the videos, and they say, hey, how come you never read my comments? Well, it's because you're watching the archive version. So just wanted to get that out there. Before we move any further, this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs, concerts, whatever it is you want to attend. New SeatGeek customers can use my promo code Farzin and save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, new customers can enter my promo code Farzin and save $20 off their first order from SeatGeek. Before we get into the show, I do want to give a big thank you to all of you who tuned in last night, and for those who called in, greatly appreciate you guys as well. For those who commented, listen, there was I don't like to say that I'm big. I don't like to say that my podcast or any of that stuff is big. I don't think of myself that way, but we've certainly grown. And there used to be a time where I could read every single comment. I wish I had the time to read every single comment. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't wish that. If I really did, I would not accomplish anything in life. I really would not. But my point is, my platform has gotten to a place where I cannot read every single comment anymore. It's impossible. So if I missed your comment last night at any time during the live stream, I do apologize. Sometimes we get a lot of those. Last night, the most concurrent viewers and the most total viewers we had across all social media platforms, and the most callers we've ever had for a post-game show. So thank you guys so much for all of that. It's because of you guys we're able to do this. So big thanks to you guys for tuning in, supporting the podcast, the content, the social media, supporting me. Greatly means a lot. When you guys share these things, it really does help out. Listen, I've said this before. My one criticism of you guys, let's have the same number of viewers and callers even when the Chiefs win a game. I feel like there are far more callers and far more viewers, and people have a lot more to say when the Chiefs lose, which is fine. Listen, I'm all about you guys speaking your mind. Win or lose, I give you guys that opportunity after every game. But no, in all seriousness, I really do appreciate everything you guys have done. It truly does mean a lot to me. Listen, there's a lot that I want to get into here on tonight's podcast. First and foremost, we do have breaking news. This came out an hour ago from Adam Schefter of ESPN. Sources are telling Schefter that Chiefs offensive tackle Wanya Morris suffered a season-ending knee injury. We don't know what the details from that. But obviously, as you guys saw on the very first offensive snap of the game, Wanya Morris goes down. They did not show a replay. I went back and watched it. It's brutal. The human body is not supposed to bend in certain ways, and that was a devastating injury for Wanya. Those can be career enders. So listen, if you can go through gruesome injuries, if you can watch that without feeling too bad, go ahead, check it out. They didn't show a replay of it, so You'll have to, if you have it on DVR or if you have NFL Plus, you'll see it on the first snap of the game. But it was not pretty. I will tell you that right now for those who don't want to watch it. So hopefully Wanya is okay. Hopefully he can come back from this. I know he's really struggled during his time in Kansas City. Has not been the best at the offensive tackle position. But you still never want to see anyone go down with that injury there. So best to him, and hopefully he has a good recovery in the offseason. Esapole, I will say, certainly stepped up. A lot of people from the Houston media were a little critical of Danielle Hunter. He had a fairly quiet game, and when you were watching last night, and I went back and rewatched it this morning, Danielle Hunter's name was not brought up much at all by Tirico and Collinsworth. So, listen, it's just one game. We can't necessarily, I'm not ready to jump to conclusions with Pole. With Josh Simmons out, Pole does have an opportunity to prove himself. But I think for 2026, you have Josh Simmons, you have Jalen Moore, and you have S.A. Pole. If Pole continues to do well in these last 4 regular season games and beyond, if you get really lucky, I think the Chiefs have some good options to work with at the offensive tackle position. So those are some things to certainly look at right now if you're Kansas City. I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they're giving up. Don't get me wrong. But I think there's something there in S.A. Pole, who had a great preseason, and so far in his one NFL game he played, in his NFL debut against the Texans, he looked pretty damn good out there. Let's see if he can do that again this weekend when the Chiefs play host to the LA Chargers. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I got a question for you guys. Normally I come on here and I ask you guys, hey, 24 hours later, how do you feel? Which, listen, if you guys want to answer that, that's fine. But I have a different question I want to know from you guys. Do you guys think the Chiefs' playoff hopes are completely... Okay, mathematically, they're not. But are you giving it a chance? Are you giving Kansas City and the 2026 postseason, are you giving that a chance? Because I'll tell you what, I told you guys for a couple of weeks now that this Sunday night football game between the Texans and the Chiefs is going to determine which one will make it to the playoffs. The winner will get a playoff spot. And I thought I was going to come on here and have that same stance. I can't say I'm actually writing off the Chiefs yet. Listen, the outcome didn't surprise me. I guess how we got to that outcome of 20-10, that did surprise me a little bit. I didn't expect the Texans offense to do a whole lot. And you kind of saw that. Kansas City's offensive woes did not really, the offensive line wasn't great. And I didn't realize this, but according to Next Gen Stats, they said that Patrick Mahomes was pressured 18 times. It didn't feel like he was running for his life. We all thought this was going to be a game where, so Pro Football Focus is saying 16 times. That does not feel right at all. Jalen Moore allowed 8 pressures. Yikes. That's according to PFF. I get it. He's going against Will Anderson, but, for someone who you brought in free agency, who you had a lot of praise for, you would like to think you would have done a little better. But it didn't feel like Patrick Mahomes was running for his life in this game. It just didn't feel like that. I just did not get that feeling. Mike Caliendo allowed one sack. The other one was considered a coverage sack, but I just didn't watch this game and feel like the offensive line, again, as I said it last night, I don't think the offensive line was awful, but I don't think they weren't great either. It wasn't like what I thought it was going to be. John says not giving it a chance. Chris says they need a miracle. Jackson says the Bible says that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Does the Bible really say that? Rob says no chance. Alonda says I don't know. John says yes, they are done. Okay. So here's my thing. The Chargers have been missing offensive linemen really all year long. And Joe Alt came back, or I'm sorry, Joe Alt, John Alt, or is it Joe or John? I think it's Joe. Joe Alt came back, got hurt again. Justin Herbert, he's also dealing with an injury right now. Now, to my understanding, he is expected to play tonight. We'll see in exactly an hour. But Daniel Jones just went down with an injury. And I know a lot of people are not high on Indianapolis, and a lot of people were even writing off the Colts before the Daniel Jones injury. I was not. I was not ready to write off the Colts yet. But with the Colts right now, oh, speaking of the Colts, we have breaking news. This is interesting. Hold on, chat. The Indianapolis Colts, I don't know if you guys get notifications or not, but if you do not, I want you guys to take a guess. The Indianapolis Colts are working out a former NFL quarterback. Who do you guys think it is? And no, it's not Colin Kaepernick. I'll tell you that right now. That would be interesting. Oh, Jackson already knows who. Okay, I guess it's not that great of a secret, but this just came out moments ago from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter as well. But Phillip Rivers. Yeah, okay, so you guys knew the secret. Phillip Rivers, Corey says Tom Brady. That would be an interesting story. Tom Brady trying out for the Colts after the Brady Manning rivalry. That'd be something. But no, it is going to be Phillip Rivers working out for the Colts. Keep in mind, he's not signed yet. That's interesting. That is very interesting. There was a rumor. Remember when the Chiefs played the Eagles in the in the Super Bowl for Super Bowl 57? The rumor was that if the 49ers somehow won that game because they lost Brock Purdy in that game and they had lost quarterbacks all year long, the rumor was if the 49ers somehow beat the Eagles and got to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs that year for Super Bowl 57, the rumor was the 49ers were going to try to reach out to Phillip Rivers. So some teams, I guess, have had Rivers in mind, but he might be making a comeback at 44 years old. So there it is. Yeah, Phillip Rivers working out for the Colts. But anyway, to go back to my Colts comment, they don't have Daniel Jones. And listen, let's say they sign Phillip Rivers today. Getting a quarterback who does not know your playbook on this short notice, I don't think is going to save your season. Jonathan Taylor is great. He really is. But he's not going to be able to carry this football team. Now, let me read you the schedules of some of the teams right now. The Chiefs have the Chargers at the Titans, against the Broncos, at the Raiders. The Chargers have at Kansas City, at Dallas, against Houston, and against Denver. The Texans have the Cardinals and the Raiders at home. They visit the Chargers. They play the Colts at home to finish off the season. And the Colts, they visit the Seahawks. Then they have a 2-game homestand against the 49ers and the Jaguars, and they finish the regular season at Houston. So the teams that Kansas City really, the two teams that they need to lose, the Chargers and the Colts, don't really have the easiest schedules. So I feel pretty optimistic. Okay, maybe not optimistic. I don't think Kansas City season is over yet. Now, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take a timeout here, but when we come back, I'm going to go through the ESPN playoff machine with you guys. For those who don't know what the ESPN playoff machine is, just Google ESPN playoff machine. It's kind of fun to play around with. You can basically go through all these scenarios and pick games in the future and see who's going to finish in what place in the division or in the conference. And basically, it'll give you a good idea as to what your favorite team would need if they're in the event of trying to sneak into the playoffs, like the Chiefs right now. So we're going to take a timeout. I have not done this yet. I wanted to do it my first and only time with you guys. I'm going to go through every single NFL game, and we'll do it quickly. It won't take us too long. And I want to know, with some luck, and if the Chiefs can go 3-1, possibly, can they make the playoffs? Before today, or before yesterday, rather, I would have said that's a no. maybe there's a strong possibility. I think maybe a bigger possibility than some think. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll check it out. We'll see if it's possible, if it's likely in just a moment. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's Sportsbook app, is finally live in your state. You heard that correctly. Those of you in the Show Me State can now make every game more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more. And you can do it all from your phone. The best part, it's safe, secure, and easy to use. And obviously, Missouri fans know about game day with the tailgate, the noise, and the passion. And now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, and every win. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my promo code ChiefZone. Once again, new Missouri customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly with code ChiefZone. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, welcome back in. Appreciate you guys joining me here on tonight's episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Like I said, I want to check out the ESPN playoff machine with you guys because even though the Chiefs are coming off a really tough loss last night, I actually don't think their season is over yet. Let's quickly look at the standings right now before we get into it. And let me just make sure you guys can see that on your end. Yes, you can. And by the way, some people asked this last night. If you're wondering real quickly, why are the Ravens ahead of the Chiefs? It's very simple. The Ravens lost to the Chiefs this year. However, this is not a two-way tie. Look right here in the middle. You have three teams, not two teams, three teams with a 6-7 record. Of all years, the Chiefs chose to be 6-7 as the year where 6-7 jokes are being made. So Kansas City 6-7, Baltimore 6-7, Miami 6-7. Since all three of them are 6-7, it's a three-way tie. And when there's a three-way tie or a four-way tie, you do not look at head-to-head tiebreakers. That's not possible in a three-way tie. So you go to the next big thing, and that's conference record. Baltimore right now has a 4-5 conference record. The Chiefs at 3-5, Miami at 3-6. Obviously, not everyone's played the same number of conference games. That'll be the same once the entire season is over. But that's why Kansas City dropped back to the 10th spot behind Baltimore. So that's just a little explanation there. I know it's a little confusing, but once you figure out, once you know the tiebreaker rules for two ways and a three ways tie, it makes a lot more sense. So Denver and New England, they're fighting it out for the number one seed. Denver practically going to win the AFC West at this point. The Jaguars, they are in a really good position to win the AFC South. The Texans not too far behind them. The Colts, they look like they're on a decline right now. The Bills, kind of a scary moment yesterday against the Bengals, but they lit it up in the fourth quarter. The Steelers, they look like they're going to win the AFC North, especially after that big win over the Ravens and with the Bengals choking to the Buffalo Bills. So let's go on here and let's go to the playoff machine right now. Let me pull that up for you guys. Okay, let me see how that looks on your end. That is way too damn small. Let's zoom in. Okay, there we go. That looks good now. Okay, so as you can see, it shows you right now all the standings. So there's only one game that's yet to be played for week 14, and that's Eagles-Chargers. So you look right there, you can see the Chargers are 8-4. I think the Eagles are winning. So when you do this, the Eagles record on your right side changed to 9-4. The Chargers lost, So if you notice, let me do that one more time. Let me pick the Chargers to win. The Chargers stay right there in the playoff picture. But if you pick the Eagles to win, pay attention to the left side. Boom. Look at that. So it's pretty cool. It gives you all these scenarios and it shows you, depending on who you pick, who's going to go where. So Indianapolis is expected to jump back up to the number 7 seed if the Eagles win tonight, which I think they will. So let's go through every single game. And there's a reason why I want to go through every single game. And I'm not going to put a lot of effort into this. So Thursday night, picking the Bucks. I will pick the Patriots to beat the Bills. I will pick the Bengals to beat the Ravens, the Jags to beat the Jets, Chiefs and Chargers. I think the Chiefs win this game. So I'm going to go with that. Texans to beat the Cardinals. Let's see. The Bears to beat the Browns, Commanders and Giants. Let's go Commanders. Raiders, Eagles. That one's easy. Colts and Seahawks. With Daniel Jones out, I think this is Seattle's game here. They've been playing well. Kind of an underrated team this year. Broncos, Packers. I'll go with the Broncos. Titans, 49ers. Panthers, Saints. Give me the Panthers. Lions, Rams. I'll go with the Rams. Cowboys and Vikings on Sunday Night Football. I'll go with the Cowboys. And for Monday night, I will pick the Steelers. Excuse me. So there you have it. So right now, nothing's changed too much on the AFC side of things after going through those picks. Kansas City, right now, I have them at 7-7. So let's go to week 16 and let's pick these games. I'm picking the Rams over the Seahawks, Eagles over the Commanders, Packers over the Bears. Well, why not? I'll go Bears this time, actually. Saints, Jets. I'll go Jets. Bills over the Browns. If the Chiefs somehow lose to the Titans, they don't even deserve to go to the playoffs. I think the Cowboys are going to light up that Chargers defense. So, and the Chargers don't really have much of an offensive line right now. So I think the Cowboys defense will be fine, even though they're not good this year. So I'm picking the Cowboys to beat the Chargers. That's an important one. Giants, Vikings. Let's go Vikings. Bucks over the Panthers. Bengals over the Dolphins. Jaguars, Broncos. I'll go Broncos. Falcons over the Cardinals. Texans over the Raiders. So this is going to be a tough one. I'll go Lions over the Steelers. Patriots over Baltimore. And I think San Francisco will have a big win over the Colts on Monday night next week. So the standings are still the same when it comes to the AFC wildcard picture. Now we have Kansas City at 8-7. The Colts are at 8-7. So I'm basically saying the Chiefs can have the same record as the Colts. Now, the reason they're not ahead is because there's a 3-way tie with the Chargers. So that's why the Chiefs are not ahead yet. So there's a 3-way tie there, and that would benefit the Colts more than the Chiefs. Week 17, Cowboys, Commanders. Cowboys on that one. Lions over the Vikings. I got to be honest with you guys. If I had to bet right now who's winning on Christmas, I'm not picking Kansas City. I'm going to go Denver in this one. Giants, Raiders. I'll go Giants. Texans, Chargers. Would rather the Texans so they can stay ahead. So Texans on that one. Seahawks. Let's go Packers, Bengals, Steelers, Patriots, Saints, the Jags, Bucks, Bills. This one's going to be tough. I'll say 49ers and the Rams. So the Colts are at 8-8. The Chargers are also at 8-8, and the Chiefs are at 8-8. So week 18 becomes interesting. Here's why. Let me just go through all of these real quickly. Chargers, I think, will win. I'm sorry, not the Chargers. Rams, got the other LA team mixed up. Patriots, Eagles, Steelers, 49ers, Texans, Jags, Bucks, Vikings, Packers, actually. Bills, Falcons, Bears, Bengals, and the Cowboys. Okay. Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders. No question about it. But, and you can look right there, with a 9-8 record, the Chiefs are in. However, Look at Denver right now. They have the number 2 seed. So Denver, if New England keeps winning, so here's one thing to keep in mind. Even though the Chiefs don't play the Patriots, you need the Patriots to keep winning. Why? Because if the Patriots lose a game, Denver will move ahead of them for the number 1 seed. And if if New England loses a game, Denver might not have anything to play for. They might have the number 1 seed clinched. So I still think the Chiefs lose on Christmas, but if the Chiefs can win, then you're going to force Denver to really fight for the number 1 seed in week 18. Because if the Chargers beat the Broncos, the Chargers move ahead of the Chiefs and get the number 7 seed. But if Denver has something to fight for, they're going to beat the Chargers. Oh, what do you know? Denver gets the 1 seed, and Denver also helps Kansas City to get in. It sounds crazy, but I'm not ready to write the Chiefs off yet. This is what I have right here for you guys. I did not think I would have this prediction, but I think it's happening. I think Kansas City will get into the playoffs. Now, in order for that to happen, this Chiefs team needs to wake up. And listen, I gave you my honest predictions. I think the Chiefs will lose to the Broncos. I can't tell you, I can't look at you guys with a straight face right now and say Denver will lose to the Chiefs on Christmas. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Yeah, someone said it's not impossible. And I think a big reason why is because of the Daniel Jones injury. I truly do believe the Chargers, with the injuries they're dealing with the injuries the Colts are dealing with, specifically Daniel Jones, you're basically, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is now going to be a one-man machine for you. And they both have very easy schedules. Listen, a week and a half ago, the day after Thanksgiving, I told you guys I don't think they're making the playoffs. I'm singing a different tune today. I think Kansas City's getting in. Yeah, it sounds crazy. I can't even tell you guys that with a straight face. But I actually think the Chiefs will get in. I know I told you guys otherwise the day after Thanksgiving, but I'm just letting you know, do not write off Kansas City yet. And by the way, I was not paying attention. Who do they visit? The Patriots, right? Because the number 2 seed's either going to be Denver or New England. So listen, New England, they're having a great season. But the big knock on New England is they haven't beaten anyone good. Now, I don't like to discredit teams. You can only play who's on your schedule. And even then, no one expected New England to be this good. No one. I mean, Kansas City, they've got an opportunity to make it, but you have to get your shit together. I'm sticking with this prediction, man. And listen, I just went through the schedule with you guys. That week 17 game, I would love to tell you guys right now that the Chiefs are going to win on Christmas. But unfortunately, the Chiefs are going to go 0-2 on holidays this season. You make it to the playoffs. I don't know if Josh Simmons can make it and come back in time for the playoffs. If S.A. Pole continues to play well, maybe you can move him over to right tackle. I mean, here's my thing with Kansas City right now. Are they playing great football? No. Jason says, I can't believe my ears. You wrote them off weeks ago. I did, Jason. I did. But sometimes doors open. And that Daniel Jones injury, I truly think is a bigger fact. I know a lot of you guys wrote off the Colts even before the Daniel Jones injury, and I disagreed with that. But I'm telling you right now, I just feel like, Dan, I love your comment. There's a wide open door for the number 7 seed. But Kansas City's got to play good football right now. Like, listen, I don't know. I know in locker room culture, you don't ever reveal that you're scoreboard watching, but Patrick Mahomes did say after the Thanksgiving game and the press conference in Dallas, he said that we have to win out and we're good. We need to hope that other teams lose. He's already looking ahead. Like, he knows you have to scoreboard watch. If you're Andy Reid, I mean, you have to say something to let these guys know it is not over. I still remember 2006. That is a Chiefs team that need a whole different set of players, different coaching staff, different general manager. That was Clark Hunt's first year as the head owner because that was the year Lamar Hunt passed away. But nobody thought the Chiefs were going to make it that year. Remember 2006, week 17, the Chiefs needed like 50 teams to lose. Okay, that's an exaggeration. More like 4 teams to lose. And they all happened. But again, yesterday, with all the help Kansas City got, it looks like it was all for nothing. In the moment, it certainly feels like that. But I actually don't think it's over for Kansas City. I just don't think it's over yet. I did not think I'd be saying this 48 hours ago, but I truly do believe if they can get their damn shit together, they've got a chance. Now, here's my biggest fear. If the Chiefs by some miracle win out and win the Super Bowl, they're going to bring back Matt Nagy. Am I expecting the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl? No, absolutely not. Here's my other fear, though. My fear is the Chiefs get into the playoffs and they say, hey, look at us. We made it to the playoffs. And they're going to keep everyone. They're going to keep Nagy and Embry and Heck. That is my one big fear. Like, if it took missing the playoffs to make some coaching changes, then I think, sure, I would make that trade-off. Because I don't think Kansas City can go on the road and beat New England. If the number 7 seed wins, that means the number 7 seed automatically visits the number 1 seed in Denver. Like, you don't need to wait for the other games. It would also depend on who plays first, but Kansas City was close to beating Denver in Denver, so that's not out of the realm of possibilities either. After that, who knows who you're going to play in the AFC title game? But here's my point. Once Kansas City can make it to the playoffs, they do become the team that a lot of people would probably want to avoid. So you're saying there is still a chance for our tonsils to be tickled? Yes. They weren't able to tickle any tonsils last night, but they might tickle a few other tonsils. Okay, in the history of the Kansas City Chiefs, is there a quote more obscure and weirder than that? Like, I remember Larry Johnson going on Twitter saying, I'm caking Patna. That was interesting. He had a lot of other things to say on Twitter, if you guys remember that. Dick Vermeil saying, hey, it's time to take the diapers off. That was an all-timer for sure. Like, what are some of the most memorable quotes in Chiefs history? Self-inflicted penalties, fixed third down convert. Dan, I don't disagree with you. Like I said multiple times, they've got to get their ish together. Like, the Chiefs have to. The Chiefs right now, hold on. Chat, I got a question for you guys. Can we all agree that the Chiefs are going to beat the Chargers, who have a banged up offensive line? They're going to beat the Titans, who are awful, and they're going to beat the Raiders, who are also awful. Can we agree those 3 wins are going to happen? Just give me a yes or no. The Chiefs will beat the Chargers, the Titans, and the Raiders. Do you guys see that happening? Because I do. Okay, we agree on that. Great. A majority of you are saying yes, a couple no's. Okay. Like, if you lose to any of those 3 teams, you do not deserve to make the playoffs. Now, the Denver game, I cannot sit here and bet on the Chiefs. Like if I had to bet big money on that one, I'm not betting Kansas City. Jackson says that's the easy part of it. Yeah, if you do win out, then you do not need for miracles. And let me just go back real quickly. If the Chiefs, I'm not going to put it on screen. If the Chiefs beat the Broncos, and if the Chargers somehow beat the Broncos in week 18, the Chiefs still get the number 7 seed if everything else happens like I'm predicting, which we all know that's not going to happen exactly, but you know what I mean. So there's a chance Kansas City might play their backups in week 18 if they beat the Broncos on Christmas. And I got to be honest, I'm hoping they don't play all their backups because I've got tickets to that game. So, yes, Christian, we did discuss that earlier. That is interesting. Very interesting. Do you know what New York Jets called a 6-7 record paradise? I don't know why I laughed. I don't even know what that means. I don't get Igor. I don't get the comment. Raiders are going to tank for the number 1 pick. Probably. I mean, they could do that because they need a quarterback real badly. It would be the most Chiefs thing ever for the Chiefs lose to Tennessee but win against the Broncos. That would be the most Chiefs thing ever. That would be. That really would be. It's almost like KU basketball. They have that embarrassing loss, and then they beat like the best team the following week. But that's where I'm at, man. I did not think I was going to be telling you guys this 48 hours ago, but I'm telling you guys right now, I think the Chiefs are going to make it. Kimberly says KC actually may just relax a little because they think that their chances are so low. That may be what we need. Mahomes has just been so nervous all year. Yeah, no, for sure. The offense has not played well together this year. Why was the Chiefs guy doing the 6-7 hand gesture in the first half like he wanted to be 6-7? The Chiefs guy. Who's the Chiefs guy? I don't know. Who did the 6? When was this? It was a player? Okay. Interesting. How would I feel about the Chiefs bringing back Kafka if they get rid of Nagy? I'm not opposed to that. That would not be my number 1 choice. My number 1 choice is Eric Bieniemy. But if Eric Bieniemy's not an option, I say Mike Kafka. If it's not Mike Kafka, I'm not opposed at all to reuniting with Doug Peterson. Because Peterson went on to win a Super Bowl with Philly, and then he did some good things in Jacksonville. Wasn't pretty, but he's done some good things outside of Kansas City, and he was a good offensive coordinator during his time with the Chiefs. I'd like to see what he can do with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. He's never had that before, so I'll see it. I got a hug from a Buffalo fan in our community telling me he was sorry for the Chiefs' demise. That sucked. Let the Chiefs prove them wrong, please. Yeah, I certainly hope we can discuss that. Hollywood did the 6-7 gesture. Okay. Someone else is saying it was Kareem. Why Bieniemy? He can't hold an offensive coordinator job in college. Why do I care about what Eric Bieniemy did in college? Like, listen, I don't follow college football closely, but can you tell me, like, who was good on that UCLA offense? You know who else fired Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator? The Commanders. They fired the entire coaching staff. You know who the quarterback was? Sam Howell. Am I going to judge a coach because Sam Howell was their quarterback? Hell no. Like, come on. As Broncos fans need the Chiefs to win against the Chargers. Yeah, that's true. And that's the other thing of it too. Like, if you can hope for the the Broncos to slip a little bit, which I don't think is going to happen, because then that forces the Broncos to play for the number 1 seed in week 18. That's why if you're a Chiefs fan, Like, not only do you need to root for the Colts and the Chargers to lose out, but you also need New England to win out. Because if New England can win out, that'll force Denver to play for the number 1 seed in week 18. Because right now there's a big gap between number 2 and number 3. Well, I have Houston at 12-5. And listen, Houston may not win out, but I don't know. There might be a big gap between 2 and 3. Because number 4, the 4 seed is, I have it as the Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-7. So making the playoffs at 9-8 is not out of the realm of possibilities. But you've got to find a way to beat the Broncos on Christmas, because not only can you lock up the 7 seed going into week 18, you don't have to rely on Denver. And if for some reason the Chargers win one of these games, then Denver would be forced to fight hard for the number 1 seed. Because remember last year, the Chiefs had nothing to play for against Denver. So what did they do? They put in all their backups. And Denver had something to fight for. They were fighting for the number 7 seed. And Cincinnati, they're watching Kansas City praying and hoping, and their fan base loves to do the narrative of, oh, they did it intentionally. Like Kansas City really was going to risk injury in a meaningless week 18 game. It was meaningless for the Chiefs, not meaningless for the Broncos. Listen, you're never obligated to help anyone. That's why for Kansas City, you better find a way to beat Denver on Christmas, because if the Chargers win at least one of these next 3 games and the Broncos can rest their starters, the Chargers might beat the Broncos in week 18, and beating the Raiders won't mean anything. So that's the path it's got to be. It's not impossible, especially with the Daniel Jones injury. But Kansas City's got to get a lot of things together. Otherwise, it won't mean much. We got to root for the Pats or the Bills? The Pats. Because if the Patriots lose a game, Denver moves ahead and they might rest their starters in week 18. That's the thing right there you've got to watch out for. So I'll leave it there. I think we kind of beat that topic to death. Philip Rivers' thoughts. I mean, we mentioned this earlier, but he's 44 years old. He hasn't played in 5-6 years. Good luck with that. By the way, a couple of you guys are asking me, what do I think of John Gruden possibly coming out of retirement and being the offensive coordinator for Andy Reid? I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, I see one comment here that he's having a good time at Barstool. Listen, when former coaches, let me just explain something to you guys. Whether you're the head coach, coordinator, quarterbacks coach, quality control coach, coaches spend a ton of time at the practice facility. Coaches do not have a life. They absolutely have no life. I mean, they are spending from sunrise to midnight in the practice facility, studying game film, drawing up game plans, doing all kinds of things. If you guys watch the docuseries on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus, Andy Reid was leaving his house and arriving at the Chiefs practice facility around 3 a.m. Like, those coaches work tons of hours. Do I think John Gruden still wants to coach? Yes. Would he leave his media job at Barstool Sports to be an offensive coordinator? Probably not. I think the only way Gruden would ever leave his job at Barstool Sports is for a head coaching job. That's the only way he'll do it. I don't think it'll go any other way. All right, a couple of things I want to go over here before we sign off for tonight. Andy Reid spoke to the media. He talked about the drops, and I'll read you the quote here. He said, "We've had too many drops. You've got to take care of that." Then he chuckled and said, "I'm not sure where these came from." And listen, he's right. Prior to this Dallas game, did the Chiefs have issues holding on to the football? Not really. I mean, I know Kelsey prior to last night, he had a couple go off his hands for a pick against the Commanders and against the Eagles. The Eagles one was a backbreaker. Rice hasn't really had a lot of drops this season. I know he hasn't played a lot of games, but he hasn't really been a liability. But on third and fourth down in the fourth quarter, 2 massive drops in critical moments for Rice. And he mentioned that the Chiefs have been catching the ball well until the last couple of games. So he's right about that. Andy was also asked about going for it on 4th and 1. So I said in the moment, and I still stand by this, even in your own 31-yard line on 4th and 1, it was a very long one. It was more like 4th and 2, but whatever. 4th and short, okay? I have no issues going for it because right now you have basically flipped the entire game on its head. The Texans had no idea what to do, and the Chiefs had all momentum. But that had to have been the most horrendous play call on 4th and 2, 4th and 1.5, whatever you want to call it. Because if you go back and watch, he had Kareem Hunt to his left, not in the backfield, just out wide to the left. And then he had quad right with Kelsey, Juju, I believe Hollywood, and Rice. Let me look that up just to be sure, but it was not the greatest formation. It wasn't even a great play call. The Chiefs have found themselves in these situations. I can't pull it up right now, but I believe, I can't find it right now, but come up with a better play call. I will defend that decision all day long. I know if it was any other head coach, like if it was Kevin Stefanski, people would say that's malpractice and that he absolutely should be fired. So I get it. Andy Reid's got a resume to kind of protect himself there, but the thing I take issue with, specifically with Reid in that call, in that moment, was the play call. That's what it was. That's the one thing I had an issue with. I'm fine with going for it. And listen, for those of you saying the defense was playing great all half, punt the football, I'm not going to push back against that one either. It's just, look, at the end of the day, and this is no disrespect to Matt Araiza and the 31 other punters in the NFL, you just don't want to see your punter out there. You just don't. And I think the game there was just a big 180 in that game to where the Texans were just kind of discombobulated. But I think the Chiefs gifted them some opportunities. So we'll see what happens there. Look, a lot of people are reacting to Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce not doing media after the game. And I've heard a lot of commentary on this. A lot of people in the media are on the side. And listen, who else in the media would say otherwise? But the media is basically saying, hey, you should do your media obligations. It is in their contract. And if you don't make yourself available, you will get fined. I don't think it's strictly enforced, though. I think the only time we've ever seen anyone fined, I think Richard Sherman declined media several times back in the day, especially when he was criticizing Goodell for the new policy at the time. And then Marshawn Lynch, who was also on the same team, Marshawn Lynch did not do any media for the entire season. He ended up getting fined for it. Remember, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Remember that for the week of the Super Bowl or whenever that was. Look, I said this last night. I think if you're a player, you should always be willing to do media, whether you win, whether you lose. My one big criticism in athletics, remember Ronda Rousey when she was high in the UFC 10 years ago? She was destroying everyone in 12 seconds, 14 seconds, 20 seconds, less than a minute. Like, she cruised through a bunch of UFC fighters, and a lot of people considered her the biggest superstar and arguably the best fighter the UFC had ever had, because nobody was beating their opponents in less than a minute the way she was. And then she loses in I think it was Melbourne, Australia, to Holly Holm in the second round with that vicious head kick. Ronda Rousey did not do any media. And then she came back 15 or 13 months later to fight Amanda Nunes. She got destroyed in 48 seconds. and did not do any media for that either. Leading up to the fight, she didn't do any media. After the fight, she didn't do any media because she didn't want to face. She was even upset with Joe Rogan because of his commentary. Like, apparently Joe Rogan cannot get excited that someone head kicked her. If Ronda Rousey gets head kicked, the announcers need to have a monotone voice when they're announcing, which doesn't make sense to me. So to circle this back to Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, look, those two are important players on this football team. They're leaders. Patrick Mahomes, after every single game, even when he has the worst game of his career, he will stand in front of a microphone and answer every single question. Does Patrick Mahomes like that? No, absolutely not. Who likes to stand in front of a podium behind a microphone and answer why you screwed up? No one wants to answer for that. But Patrick Mahomes does it. Chris Jones does it. Now, I don't know if there's a little if there's like a way you can cheat the system, I guess, for lack of a better term, to where if you're speaking on a podcast, does that consider your weekly media obligation? Because we all know Travis Kelce does his podcast. Now, just because he speaks on his podcast does not mean he answers all the questions that is out there. And listen, I've seen some people say, well, what's Travis Kelce going to say? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think you have to answer for your errors in the game. I'm not saying he's the only person. He was far from the only person. But I think everyone has to do their part in making themselves available for the media. I remember in 2008, the two leaders on the Chiefs at the time, Larry Johnson and Tony Gonzalez, almost every single game, they refused to speak to the media. And I just don't think you can do that. I know that was a bad year for Kansas City, but you can't just not want to talk to the media because you're pissed off you lost. I mean, you have a young guy in Brody Croyle who was willing to speak to the media after every game he lost. Damon Heward, a veteran who had gone through the ups and downs in his career, was still willing to speak, win or lose. Tyler Thigpen that year, young guy, unexpectedly became the starter. He was willing to speak. And I will say this. I know there are some people don't like the media sometimes and the questions they ask. And look, are there some people in the media who ask mean-spirited questions? Yeah, absolutely. But I also think there are some good people in the media out there, some people who I've had on the podcast as well, who do ask good questions. Listen, players do not like these tough questions, but they understand it. They know it comes with the territory. And here's something that I've learned in journalism, and this can be applied to life as well. It's never what you say, it's how you say it. It really is true if you think about it for a moment. I think at the end of the day, John says, another solution is quit losing. Yeah, I suppose that's another option as well. Because here's the thing, Travis Kelce, he only does a couple of press conferences a year during the season nowadays. Last year, it seemed like that was the case. This year, the same thing. And Kelce ends up getting asked questions about things that happened a week or two ago. And people don't like that, which I understand. But when you don't make yourself available, those questions don't just magically go away. I'm sorry, they just don't. So, for example, one question is that, the sideline interactions, because Kelce had a lot of those sideline heated moments this year. And when he wasn't available for a couple of weeks, the media was not going to just forget about it when Kelce came back. Remember, I know this is not the greatest example, but remember when Harrison Butker, remember when he had that speech, the commencement speech at Benedictine College? Well, when the Chiefs had OTAs, who spoke to the media? It was Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Those two were asked a bunch of questions about Harrison, which I don't like, by the way. I don't think somebody else should be answering for Harrison Butker's commencement speech. And the Chiefs PR, they did a bad job of this too, because they helped protect Harrison Butker. And they said, Harrison, we're not going to make you do any media. But instead, everyone else had to answer for the questions. And what they did is they waited for Harrison Butker until he signed that extension last year's training camp. And so he didn't do a press conference until about a month and a half after the commencement speech. So the media ended up asking questions about something that happened a month and a half ago. Which, again, to the media's defense, just because you were not available for a month and a half does not mean the questions will just magically not get asked and go away. So, listen, I used to be in the media, so I understand the media's perspective on things. Because, listen, let's be honest. If Harrison Butker did stand in front of a microphone and was not asked about that commencement speech even a month and a half later, that'd be a little weird. You would be surprised. And listen, I listened to that press conference. I thought everything in there was valid from the media. I don't think anything was, irrational or not civil or any of that. And I think Butker was honest and respectful in all the questions. And listen, the Chiefs PR, they let Butker know. They say, hey, listen, you're going to be asked about the commencement speech. Even though it was a month and a half ago, this is your first time being available to the media. So the PR people will. So, for example, let me give you an example. Patrick Mahomes speaks Wednesdays, assuming there's a Sunday game. The media will say, hey, Patrick, you're going to be asked, do you think the season's over? Do you think you've got a chance for the playoffs? You'll also be asked, hey, are you scoreboard watching? Here's what answers you should give. I remember when Kadarius Toney had his first press conference with the Chiefs, people were asking him about his issues with the Giants. Kadarius Toney gave the answer of, yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm here in Kansas City now. That's a PR answer. The PR staff gave you that. They prepped you for that. And I'm not saying that's an issue. That's just the way it works. So I can understand both sides to it. Kelce stopped doing pressers once he started dating Taylor, probably because he was getting more questions about his relationship than football. Listen, there aren't a lot of Travis Kelce press conferences out there. Travis Kelce actually does not get asked about his relationship. I mean, he may ask, like, the engagement, sure. I think a couple of questions came up about that. But outside of that, the media, the local media does not ask any questions about Taylor. And I know, like, Kelce was on Stephen A's podcast, and he's also been on Pat McAfee's podcast, and they both mentioned, hey, we were at Taylor Swift's concert, and it was a fun time, and Travis loved that. He loved being asked about that. He was smiling, and he had some good things to say about that, too. So as long as people are not asking personal questions, I don't think he cares. And again, whenever Travis Kelce steps in front of the podium to take questions, which he doesn't do often, but in the event he does, I'm sure the PR guys say, hey, look, you might get asked about Taylor, and here's what you should say. So they always prep him for those situations. Yeah, at the start of the relationships, he got asked a lot of questions. And listen, I think everyone was just kind of culture shocked by the whole thing, like Taylor at the games and how people were literally buying tickets just to try to see her in person. People were watching games just so they could see her. So I think it's natural to want to get Travis Kelce's reaction to that at the time because it was so crazy. I do remember the Germany press conference. He was asked, are you in love? It's like, okay, you're pushing it. And that was at the beginning. You're right about that. But since then, he doesn't get asked a lot of personal questions, which I can actually respect and appreciate from the media. All right, who are we taking tonight, guys? Are we going Eagles or Chargers? I'm going Eagles on this one. I just feel like their offensive line is banged up. And Herbert, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to keep a close eye on Justin Herbert. With that hand injury and the surgery he had this week, and because the Chargers played on Monday night, they had the extra day, so that can only help. But how much can that help? I'm not 100% sure, but I think, we're Eagles fans tonight. Somebody tweeted me saying they do not want to root for the Eagles. I get it. I get it. Joker says, go Birds, as a Chiefs fan that tasted like cough syrup. Yeah, definitely. All right. I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy Monday Night Football. If the Eagles win, this might be A different conversation. By the way, quick heads up, there will not be a Wednesday podcast. We'll actually do a podcast on Thursday. We'll do that at 5 p.m. Central Time, a little earlier than we usually do. I want to do it before Thursday Night Football begins. But just a heads up, there will be a Chiefs Zone podcast Thursday, 5 p.m. No Wednesday podcast. Unless there's breaking news that we've got to get into, there will not be a podcast on that evening. So once again, appreciate you guys joining me. If you missed any part of this live stream, it'll be archived shortly on Facebook, YouTube, and X. It'll also be available on our audio pages such as Apple and Spotify. And if you guys enjoy this, hey, please share it. Let your friends know about the podcast. We hit record numbers last night for our post-game show. Most callers, most concurrent viewers, and most total viewers for a post-game show. So thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate that. Please keep spreading the word. Let your friends know about the Chiefs Zone podcast. Once again, I am Farzin Vasugian. Appreciate you all joining me tonight. I will talk to you all on Thursday. Take care.